please let us know. And then we'll also be going around to different business groups. So, for example, the Atlantica Center of Energy is having a board meeting. They want to understand this information. The New Brunswick Community College has reached out. Their engineering technology department wants to understand what the shale gas supply chain life cycle looks like and what activities are done and how that lines up with our college. So we're going to be talking to businesses to say, look, this is what we've learned about the shale gas supply chain. This is what we think it means for businesses. And then it'll be up to businesses in New Brunswick to decide whether that's something they want to consider investing their time and energy into preparing for. So that's where we go from here. But now we'll take your questions between Thor and Derek, Andrea, Serge, and myself, if there's anything that you'd like us to dig into more, anything you'd like to ask.
Who are the people on the phone and where are they talking from?
That was Thor Olesen and Derek Fitzgerald. They are employees of Deloitte and they're based out of the St. John office.
St. John?
New Brunswick.
Yes.
And about the commissioning of this study, who paid for that study?
The study was supported, it was run by Future NB, but we did get support from the government of New Brunswick and from MCOA, and then participation from the steering committee that Andrea described, University of New Brunswick, University of Moncton, and some of our private sector members.
Can you tell us the total price tag?
The total price tag of the study was $90,000.
So you wouldn't necessarily recommend the creation of new companies, more or less the growth of existing companies that have the existing infrastructure and scale to a larger degree?
Well, we're not telling New Brunswick businesses what to do. If someone sees an opportunity here and they want to create a new business to go after it, we are all for entrepreneurs in New Brunswick. And so if there's a new business that can be created to access that opportunity, excellent. We have businesses in New Brunswick today that are doing these things and could very easily supply. So we just want to make sure people are aware and taking the advanced steps so that we're not caught off guard later and the opportunity passes us by, whether that's a new business or an existing one.
It kind of sounds like a warning, like, let's all get our certifications ready or Halliburton's going to come in and take us all out.
Kind of. I think there'll be opportunities to partner with Halliburton. So Halliburton will come in and play a role. I'm quite confident of that because you saw the red boxes. There's lots here that New Brunswick businesses are not going to do, and the investment required to do that would be significant. But Halliburton themselves will need tons of partners on the ground. And so we may be participating in their supply chain as well as those with the developers. But it is a warning in the sense that there's things we need to do in advance. There's certifications and relationships to be built if we want to get access to that $13 million times however many wells of opportunity.
And I think it's also very important for New Brunswick businesses to understand that what is that path to participation? It's not only about certification, it's not only about some of those elements, it's about preparing themselves and creating that strategic plan internally to be able to address some of those shortcomings that they may have.
Yeah, we thought it was an important takeaway to note that while businesses said we're interested in this, we're following it, it was some 20%, 30% said we're not doing anything about it. We don't currently have a plan, we don't currently have strategic partnerships. And so that was a bit of a sign to us that said, okay, we're going to need to in the next few years develop those if we want to be ready should the opportunity come.
So the other thing that I wanted to know, guys, is you say it's about 206 people required for one well, which is about 21 sort of permanent full-time jobs. For how long? It's about, you've listed here about 1 to 2 years to sort of put together the well. Is that those 206 jobs for a year, for 2 years, for 10 years?
What it works out to is 21 jobs per year per well. But the timing does vary, so it doesn't take a year to develop one well. It can take anywhere from 7 to 25 years to do the pre-drilling, drilling, and then production and end-of-life phase. So the 206 jobs to develop one well works out to the equivalent of 21 people on a full-time basis for a full year round.
So it's 206 jobs over the life cycle of that well?
Right.
Okay.
206 individual tasks, so that are created by job or identified by different jobs, right? So you may have a construction person at one level of the development, where you may have someone installing a pipeline at another level. So they're different tasks, and they amount to.
Yeah, the site surveyor might be there for 3 days, and then someone else might be there for 6 months. So when you add up all those 206 pieces of activity, you get the equivalent of 21 full-time jobs. And it begs repeating, it is per well, and under no case that we've seen would anyone be drilling one well. You're either not drilling, or you're going to be drilling more than one. But we needed some kind of boundary to assess this, so one well was the tool that we used.
And what are sort of the percentage, you had a lot of quadrants up there. When you're looking at those 21 jobs, are the majority of them jobs that people with a construction background, a minimal education might be able to do, or are those 21 high-level PhD and master's jobs?
That's a good question. There actually is a segment, an appendix to the full report that breaks down the workforce piece in a lot more detail, and unfortunately I don't know it extremely well. Derek, if you want to jump in, you're welcome to. It's a mix of high and medium skilled.
I'd like to hear it, but because it's TV, I can't use his voice I can't see his face.
Okay.
So
if we can get him to say it, then we can repeat it.
Yes, it's great information, but I need somebody here to say it.
So Derek, thoughts on the skill level of the workforce enrolled into those 21 jobs?
Yeah, well, we noticed that there is a mixture of obviously between high-level skilled employees and medium skilled, and it does depend on the stage that you're in. So it is a bit of a detailed response to that, which is in the report. So you'll see a mixture of workforce requirements depending on what phase it might be throughout the stage of development. So to answer that, it's really to walk through each phase individually to get to the overall summary, which you did mention, of the 206 kind of different task jobs that are out there that do add up to the average FTE of 21.2 per well.
The beauty of the work that Deloitte did was that they did break it down on an activity by activity basis. So if your business is in the pipeline installation, you can find that in the report, called out specifically 18 high skilled, 72 low skilled over this much time. So it does go into that level of detail for the businesses and industries that are looking for that particular piece of information, but it's a blend.
Okay. Well, lastly for me, because I'm taking up all the time anyway, so I might as well keep going. In this province, there's been a lot of opposition in terms of environment. One of the interesting oppositions sort of blends these two markets. There was a protester several protests, who talks a lot about an overdependency on this type of energy, and how if we as a province keep going in this general direction, we're actually going to price ourselves out of the market, because there's going to have to be a change. So if we focus all of our energy and all of our eggs in this shale gas basket, we're going to be screwed when everything goes solar or wind or whatever. How does that factor in?
Certainly that piece was, it's different from what we're here to talk about today, because we're here to talk about the specifics of the shale gas supply chain. But I think in general, a diverse energy market in New Brunswick is important. We want to make sure we have lots of different sources of energy and that they are competitively priced in order for our economy to flourish. Right now, the most competitively priced source of energy is natural gas globally. So that's what gives economies opportunity to participate and compete. And as we move into solar and wind and others, I think that those are things that the energy blueprint, NB Power and the government of Brunswick's energy blueprint speaks to specific renewable targets that they have to meet. Right now we're focused on whether this industry means opportunity for New Brunswick businesses, but we also are cognizant that natural gas is the global sort of price setter for energy competitiveness, and that's a key factor to economic development in New Brunswick.
Perfect.
Other questions?
Your survey, you said you sent it to 450 people. I just didn't see the response rate.
The response rate was in the teens, so 75, 72 Deloitte. What was the specific response rate on the survey?
72 complete respondents from the start of the survey to the completion of the survey, so what we would categorize as full complete.
Okay, thank you.
One question, the government always says that there are going to be jobs, full-time jobs for natives. There's 21 jobs. What the natives are going to play a role here?
21 jobs per well, and some of those are certainly jobs that members of our First Nations can complete because they're jobs that they're doing today. Everything from doing site construction, clearing land, preparing roads, to working on the job site as a maintenance person, to driving the trucks that bring the equipment in and out, to being the company that supplies the equipment to the job site. Those are all opportunities for First Nations to participate, as with any other New Brunswickers. Other questions? All right, thank you everyone for coming. We very much appreciate your support in helping to bring this information to the public as they continue to consider shale gas.